What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video, and this is a very interesting announcement from Nintendo because they have just announced that the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS eShops will be discontinued as of next year. And there is a lot to dissect with this, as well as talking about Platinum Games, the CEO, and being open to a company coming in and buying them. Could they be bought out? Well, we're going to discuss everything here in just a bit. Before we get into anything, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now let's go ahead and start off here with the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS eShop discontinuation. And is Nintendo making a huge mistake with this? Well, we'll talk about that. Now, we're going to go over all the official information, and there will be a Q&A that we're going to be discussing as well. So this might be a bit much, but I want to make sure that I get all of the right information out there for you guys outside of some of the crazy stuff that people have been saying on Twitter and all of that. So this applies to the new Nintendo 3DS, the new Nintendo 3DS XL, the new Nintendo 2DS XL, the Nintendo 3DS, the Nintendo 3DS XL, Nintendo 2DS, the Wii U Deluxe, and also the Wii U Basic. A lot of different systems there, at least variations. Now, as of late March 2023, it will no longer be possible to make purchases in the Nintendo eShop for the Wii U system and for the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. It will also no longer be possible to download free content, including game demos. Furthermore, as this date draws closer, related services will cease to function. So here are the different services. As of May 23rd, 2022, it will no longer be possible to use a credit card to add funds to an account in the Nintendo eShop on Wii U or the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. As of August 29th, 2022, it will no longer be possible to use a Nintendo eShop card to add funds to an account in Nintendo eShop on Wii U or the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. However, it will still be possible to redeem download codes until late March 2023. Now, users who link their Nintendo Network ID wallet used with the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems with their Nintendo account wallet used with the Nintendo Switch family of systems can use the shared balance to purchase content on any of these systems until late March 2023. After that, the balance can only be used to purchase content for the Nintendo Switch family of systems. No changes are planned for the Nintendo eShop on the Nintendo Switch family of systems. The changes to the Nintendo eShop on Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems will simultaneously take effect in software on these platforms where it is possible to make purchases such as Street Pass Mi Plaza, Theme Shop, and Nintendo Badge Arcade. Even after late March 2023, and for the foreseeable future, it will still be possible to re-download games and DLC, receive software updates, and enjoy online play on Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. We thank you for supporting Nintendo eShop on Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. While we hope you will continue to enjoy using these systems, we have taken this opportunity to prepare a website where you can look back on your time with them via various play statistics. Please visit, it's right there, Nintendo 3DS Wii U Memories, Nintendo.com. And they go over why this is happening, why announcing it now, all the other services and all that. So we're going to break down everything here, guys. So here's the Q&A. Why is this happening? This is part of the natural life cycle for any product line as it becomes less used by consumers over time. Why are you announcing this now? We are providing this notice more than a year in advance of the end of purchases so users will have plenty of time to prepare. Are any other services or functions of the Wii U or the Nintendo 3DS family of systems going to be discontinued, such as online play? There are no plans to make any further changes at this time. How long will it still be possible to re-download previously purchased content in Nintendo eShop for Wii U or the Nintendo 3DS family of systems? How long will those systems still support online play? For the foreseeable future, it will still be possible to re-download games and DLC, receive software updates, and enjoy online play on Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. So at least that's pretty good that they're not shutting down the service to play those games online once you do get everything that you do want within this next year or so. Next question up. There are still Nintendo eShop cards at retailers that show the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS logos. What will happen to them? These cards will continue to be at retail while supplies last. All Nintendo eShop cards can be used to add funds to a Nintendo account balance for use on the Nintendo Switch. This can be done via the Nintendo eShop on the system itself. Next up, if someone visits Nintendo eShop and wants to download something on Wii U or the Nintendo 3DS family of systems after late March 2023, what will they be able to do? Now, on both platforms, users will still be able to re-download content they own, download existing software updates. On both platforms, users will not be able to purchase any content. On the Nintendo 3DS, this includes paid content, plays, and passes in software such as Street Pass Me Plaza, Theme Shop, Nintendo Badge Arcade, and Pokemon Bank. On Wii U, this includes passes in software such as Wii Sports Club. Now, continuing on here in terms of what's happening after late March, what you'll be able to do, you can still download the demos, download free-to-start software, redeem a download code, add funds to their Nintendo eShop balance. Now, on Nintendo 3DS family of systems, users will still be able to download a small number of free themes from the theme shop. So that is pretty much everything when it comes to what is going on with the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U discontinuation. And is this a huge mistake by Nintendo? And I think that it is and it isn't. Now, it isn't first before we get into it is. Now, it isn't first because this is the natural evolution. All of these different shops across Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo will eventually go down at some point when it comes to the older systems. So they have to make way for what they're doing for new. So I get that. But then it is because there is a virtual console on the 3DS and also on the Wii U. And the Wii U's virtual console is actually pretty bad for the most part when it comes to the input latency with N64 games and stuff like that. But it has a variety of systems on there and ways to play certain games that would be difficult to play normally without doing some type of emulation or something like that, right? And obviously, there's all sorts of different slippery slopes and stuff like that, which I'm not going to get into today. But at the end of the day, not all of these games are being offered on modern systems or on Nintendo's modern systems. So for example, the Metroid games on the Game Boy Advance, those are not available on the Nintendo Switch in any capacity, whether it's physical or digital at this point. Now, I still think that they could come, but they're still not available. And there's still a number of games that haven't been brought over to Nintendo Switch Online or NSO Plus. Those games could come in the future, but they're not there at this point. So that brings up quite a bit of people that are saying, well, wait a minute here, what's going on, when it comes down to it. But me personally, if you want my own personal take on this, anything that I've wanted on the 3DS or the Wii U, I've pretty much gotten at this point. And if there's anything else that I would want on those systems, I could get them within a year's time. These two systems have been available for a decade. And by the end of the time that this comes to like an end here next year, it'll be more than a decade for both systems because the Wii U launched in 2012. So it'll be more than a decade for both systems. So me just personally, my own thoughts on this, outside of what anybody else thinks, I'm like, okay, well, if I want anything, now that they've provided a decade of support plus, like I'll just pick it up and that will be that. However, for a lot of gamers out there, it's tough because maybe you don't have the money to get something at one point and you can get it later, or you're not in a situation to where you can do some stuff, or maybe you weren't on board on the Wii U or 3DS in its life and you're now in a point to where you have some type of capital and you can do something. It sucks because you're not able to have access to all these digital games and all of the virtual console stuff and all the different things that are out there. That's the bad part about it. But once again, I'm looking at it, and this is something that I've talked about with all different systems. After they say, hey, we're not going to be continuing support anymore, it's been a number of years, we're kind of moving on to different things. That's just kind of like the natural stuff that happens. And I didn't really go crazy or get super mad when it happened with Sony, although Sony's was a little bit weird when it comes down to it, because I guess the Vita, for example, it was a bit sooner than maybe some people thought. And I know they ended up reversing course and delaying it a bit more. But eventually all of those shops and everything will go down eventually, and people have to move on to whatever's next. So I get it from that standpoint, but I still feel for many people it's definitely a mistake, right? Because there's still people that play or use it or download stuff. But clearly at this point, when it comes to the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS, people aren't using these systems like they used to use these systems. People aren't downloading a bunch of games. People aren't spending a lot of money on the Wii U and 3DS. And if we want to get in particular here with the Wii U itself, I mean, this was a barren wasteland. I mean, people clown this system 24/7, almost, it seemed like, on the internet. People weren't buying the virtual console. It wasn't as successful as some might have thought. Yes, there's games on there, but the variety that's even on there for the first party games isn't quite good. It's not that great either. So there was issues across the board, even with the Wii U having its virtual console at this point. And that's just from my observations and as somebody who covered the whole lifespan of the Wii U and what I saw. So it's definitely a very small slice of people. I think that the Nintendo 3DS eShop discontinuation hurts a little bit more. And the reason why I say that is because that system has 70+ million units sold. Now, a lot of that, it's not all individual users because so many people bought extra systems, different special editions and all that. There was just so many. Nintendo just listed them out. New Nintendo 3DS, new Nintendo 3DS XL, new Nintendo 2DS. I mean, there were so many variations that people bought multiple systems of. So it's not like you have all of those actual users, but there still was a good base of people. Now, at this point, I'm pretty sure that a lot of those people are gone. I haven't used my 3DS for anything online or downloading anything in legitimately years at this point. It's been so long. But I also think that there is I would say, backlash to this, or there is effects in the market, because now 3DS games have already been going up. Wii U games have already been somewhat going up. Now they're going to go up a lot more. And then you also have games that haven't been ported over from the Wii U at least. And games like Xenoblade Chronicles X, that game is going to get lost into cyberspace or the secondhand market. And what are you going to do from that? That hasn't been ported over yet. So I think that's where the concerns come from. And I completely understand that, as Nintendo also stated that they're not planning any type of way for people to be able to access that content on the 3DS and the Wii U on the Nintendo Switch. But if there is a silver lining here, or at least a positive, is that you do get one whole year ahead of time to get what you want. So even if you don't have some money right now to buy what you want, there'll be some money later, or at some other point, or next year, even at the beginning of the year. So it'll be counting down towards it. And I'm pretty sure there will be plenty of videos and people talking about it as they're getting ready to shut everything down. So once again, I do think that it is a unfortunate or bad side of just all of the business when it comes to it. And I wish that they actually could provide the services for way longer, because there's still going to be online play for the 3DS. There's still going to be online play for the Wii U. So it's not like they're completely shutting everything down with these systems. So it would have been nice if they're able to just keep it up for forever. But we just know that's not how it works. But I understand the frustration from some people out there when it comes down to it. I just personally, I've got everything that I wanted for the most part, but I think I'll probably go in and look at a few games here or there just in case I missed something. Like I said, I'm almost positive there'll be videos talking about the best games to buy on the 3DS before it goes away, or the best games to buy on the Wii U before it goes away. Xenoblade Chronicles X, if you don't have that already, that's one of the games you should definitely pick up. Although secondhand, I don't think it's too expensive right now at this point. That could go up. But what are your thoughts on this, guys, when it comes down to it? Is this a big mistake? Is it the natural progression of things? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, now moving on to the next topic here. Platinum Games CEO is open to being acquired. What's all this about? But there's a big asterisk next to it. So Platinum Games CEO Asushi Inaba said in an interview with Video Games Chronicle, and he was asked about consolidation in gaming and what's going on, Microsoft buying up Activision Blizzard, and if Platinum would be interested in this type of acquisition for themselves. And Inaba is open. He says, hey, we're open to being acquired, but we do want that same independence like Activision Blizzard once they finalize the deal. They want that. They want to be able to say, hey, we can do this and that. You're not going to tell us everything to do. We're not going to be working on My Little Pony's adventure or something like that. Quote, here's what he had to say exactly. The most important thing for us is to have the freedom to make the games we want to make, said Inaba. What I hear about the recent acquisitions, I don't think Microsoft is going to start micromanaging Activision to where they take away all their freedom. I don't think it's going to be a relationship like that. I think there's going to be a lot of mutual respect there, and I think Activision will be able to continue doing what they do best, pumping out COD games 24/7. No, I'm joking. I added that in there. That's also what's the most important to us at the end of the day, whatever form that takes for us and our company. So I would not turn anything down as long as our freedom was still respected. Now, Inaba and Vice President Hideki Kamiya did recently say they have a desire to revisit the canceled Xbox game Scalebound and bring it back. Kamiya has always wanted to do Scalebound, said Inaba at the time, so we'd like to have a proper discussion with Microsoft. Kamiya also added, we did a lot of work on it, and it's no use to Microsoft keeping the same game in its current form, so we'd like to do something about it. Laughs. Phil, let's do it together. And then he also reinforced that he wasn't joking about this, that he actually wants to get Scalebound done. So we've talked about that. Hideki Kamiya wants to go back to it. It feels like there's unfinished business there. But let's focus in on Platinum Games in terms of wanting to be acquired. Now, there was some other stuff about acquisitions and how Mr. Inaba says that it's kind of weird how companies feel about acquisitions in Japan and mergers, and how they're just kind of like hands off about that compared to the rest of the world. And I can understand that just a little bit. Japan is not a company or a region or whatever that you want to say, company, more like a region that is all about swallowing up companies all the time. That is something that happens here in America and in Europe, but America, so much. Companies just swallow up competition. They want to make sure that they consolidate everything. And essentially what it comes down to is capitalism. The boys at the top want to make all the money and make sure that they're making the most money. Now, there is some other type of ethical things that are in there. I don't think it's all about that in every single situation, but for the most part, it's about that. When it comes to mergers and acquisitions, mainly acquisitions, it's about that. And we all know it's about that. Now, of course, these companies will try to blow smoke in your eyes and tell you that it's not about that, but it is about that. So I'm looking at this situation here when it comes to Platinum Games, and I'm wondering what company would actually want to buy them, but then also give them their complete freedom to do what they want, considering that there's been some misfires when it comes to Platinum Games. And considering they don't make games like Activision Blizzard that can sell as much as they do, or even like Destiny, right? At least not at this point. Now, they're working on some stuff, but so far, right now, Babylon's Fall not looking like it's going to be the best. And once again, that is a Square Enix title. Now, they're going to make their own live service, so we'll see what they do. Can they make a game better than Genshin Impact? Of course they can. They can make a game better than Genshin Impact. They just don't have the experience as of yet, and they're trying to build up because they see how much money that they're making over there and saying, well, wait a minute, we can make an action game better than that. And we can make that type of money, if not more. That's why they're hiring and getting bigger. But what company is willing to buy them? Not at this point. They have to prove that they can make a game that does extremely well. And then I think somebody will swoop in. Now, there are some issues with Western companies or American companies or companies outside of Japan buying a Japanese company. So it doesn't seem like Microsoft is going to swoop in. Now, we could see some Scalebound action. That's cool, but that's separate from actually buying Platinum Games, which I don't think Microsoft wants. They already got what they got. They're set. But apparently there's going to be more acquisitions, according to Jeff Keighley and other people out there. So we're going to see more. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I think that Platinum Games, before they get bought out by anybody out there, they're definitely going to have to create some IP that they own that creates millions of dollars of value to themselves. Because right now, I don't think they're worth that much. They're talented, but they're not worth that much because they don't own really anything at all. And if they make a couple good live service games, or even one good live service game that brings in revenue and people like, then their value shoots up a lot because they actually own that IP, like the Genshin Impact, right? So they actually own that, and then they can use that as leverage to get bought out by somebody if they want that. But then also the freedom. You know, they want that freedom to where they say, hey, we'll make what we want to make. So that's also going to be a difficult proposition too when it comes down to it, because Activision has that leverage. Some of these other companies have that leverage. Bethesda somewhat has that leverage when it comes to their IPs because they're worth a lot and they have those IPs. Platinum Games does not. So do they get that leverage in the negotiations? I don't know about that, you know? So we'll see what happens in the future. I think that obviously Mr. Inaba is not going to rule anything out as a good businessman, but it's going to be interesting to see exactly how things play out in the future. And no, I don't think that Nintendo is going to buy Platinum Games. At this point, I don't think so. And I think that the only way Nintendo actually gets into the buying acquisition type of phase is if everybody just starts getting bought out at a really rapid pace and especially in Japan, I think that's where Nintendo's going to step in at some point, but I don't think that's going to happen, so I don't see them stepping in. Heck, Nintendo hasn't even bought Intelligent Systems, and they make Fire Emblem. They make one of the successful franchises that Nintendo has, out there. So yeah, I'm not sure, but we'll see what ends up happening at the end of the day. So what are your thoughts on this, guys, when it comes to it? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, peeps, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.